I really hope it's a part of my plan to make this video because I don't want death to be coming after me. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris. Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be ranking all 5 Final Destination movies from my least favorite to my favorite. This is a franchise that I just recently binged through with my girlfriend Cam. Now, if you don't know the premise of this franchise, essentially each movie follows a different group of teenagers, as one of them has a premonition that allows for a few people to get away and escape death while everyone else ends up dying in a horrific manner, and that usually incites every single movie, and then each character is trying to escape death throughout the movies. And before I give you guys my ranking, hit that like button, comment yours down below, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos coming very soon. So let's go ahead and get right into this thing. Coming in last place for me is going to be Final Destination 4, or The Final Destination. I can't stand when sequels just don't put the number, and if it doesn't have a clever title, like just adding the in front of the word, The Final Destination already annoys me, and this movie actually got half a star out of 5 on Letterboxd. It's very rare for me to do that to a movie. Final Destination 4 is atrocious. The movie's laughably bad. I was sitting there laughing more than I am at sometimes comedy movies that come out nowadays. The group of characters is extremely unlikable and just flat out dumb in this movie, and on top of that, the CGI is garbage. It's some of the worst I've ever seen in a movie, actually, because they were emphasizing the fact that it was in 3D so much that some of these effects would be shooting at the screen trying to get the audience to jump. This movie came out in the 2000s. Not everyone's watching it in 3D now, so that was very gimmicky and unnecessary to the actual story. Plus, the actual premonitions that the main character have look like something from a PS2 render preparing for the actual final product of the graphic. PS2 graphics aren't that good already, but the pre-stages of it look even worse, and that is literally what some of the premonitions in this movie look like. There's one standout kill that involves a lawnmower and a rock. I laughed pretty hard when it happened because of how stupid it was, but the group of characters in this one is by far the worst, and the opening alone is the weakest of the rest of this franchise. This is just not a good movie. It's flat out terrible compared to the rest. Next up for me is going to be Final Destination 3. Now, this movie has one thing going for it that the others don't. Mary Elizabeth Winstead. In fact, Mary Elizabeth Winstead right after Sky High, prime 2000s, you can't go wrong. Now, her character is very underwritten and poorly developed, but I do like her screen presence. She has some charisma to her. She already gives a leg up on the other main characters. The opening of this movie is frightening, especially if you're afraid of roller coasters already, because it takes that fear and amplifies it, as the premonition is about roller coasters. And not just any roller coaster, a roller coaster at a carnival, which is basically already a place to go die. Now, the characters in this one aren't as clever when it comes to trying to cheat death, and it sort of falls into the trap of the 4th movie as well, where it's basically just a bunch of randos getting killed off one by one, and they basically act like lambs for the slaughter. That's the case with 4 and 3, in my opinion. They don't have as much thrills or a great plot to drive the story forward, but at the end of the day, the movie isn't terrible. It is a step up from Final Destination 4, in my opinion, though I'm not a fan of what they do with the ending involving a premonition. They're trying to get all too big for their britches almost and think that they're so smart in the way they present something. What was the point of even including the premonition if usually when a character has a premonition, they escape a death situation? That wasn't the case here. They just thought they were being super clever, and it was, in fact, not. Next up for me is actually going to be Final Destination 2. Now, the thing that Final Destination 2 has going for it is that it carries over story elements and characters from the first movie, so it has more continuity and feels like an actual part of the franchise. Also, the opening of this movie is arguably the most iconic and terrifying of the entire franchise because it's the most relatable. Everyone has to drive in a car to commute to work or go to a friend's house or literally get anywhere. You're driving in a car most days of the week. And so on a highway, this massive premonition plays out, and it involves a log truck, and I will never look at a log truck the same, I can say that. It's brutal as hell, and this movie is infamous for the sequence. After that, it kind of follows the formula of the first Final Destination, where the characters are trying to figure out a way to cheat death, and the characters just aren't as interesting as that first movie. Unfortunately, they're kind of underdeveloped and become just objects of death, pretty much, where we're going to get to know some of these. They're going to be stupid. There's going to be someone who just thinks this is all BS. There's going to be someone who's kind of smart. There's going to be a police officer. It's the common tropes for horror movies, especially slashers. But I like how this one does further certain elements of that first movie, and it feels the most connected to the others in the franchise, aside from maybe 5. My runner-up is going to be Final Destination 5, the final movie in the franchise, and a damn good ending if I do say so myself. I think this does a really great job of tying a bow on the entire franchise, with certain twists and turns and reveals that had my jaw on the floor. Now, I was able to guess a few seconds before what was going to happen, and my girlfriend was kind of shook by the fact that I was able to guess it, but nonetheless, it was an extremely satisfying conclusion to this movie that did really wrap up things in a way I did not see coming. But what I like about the movie, apart from the ending, is the fact that it introduces a new group of characters who are somewhat likable. At least the main character is. I mean, I don't remember his name, so that's not a positive. There's a premonition scene on a bridge, and the opening is on a bridge. another place that most people fear driving over, a high bridge over a body of water, so it definitely plays into that fear. Also, this movie has more of a plot as the characters are actually trying to figure out a way to actively cheat death, and that's what some of the earlier sequels failed at. These characters are not just there to get picked off one by one. They have different motivations and different relationships that we see explored throughout the movie. It also contains probably the most iconic or infamous kill in the entire franchise, involving a gymnast and a balance beam. If you know, you know. Additionally, the characters actually go at it in this movie as they try and off each other to change the chain of events that death is going to pick them off on. Getting to see characters fight with knives in a kitchen is pretty impressive scene, and it's one of the more thrilling entries in the entire franchise, as this is more of a thriller, kind of returning to the roots of the first movie, as opposed to like 3 and 4, which are literally just kill, 10 minutes of nothing, kill. That's kind of what the earlier sequels are. This one, I think, is a more complete movie, and it's actually pretty solid. But my favorite has to be the original Final Destination movie that kickstarted this entire franchise. This is actually a really good movie. It's a contained thriller with horror elements, but right from the start, it introduces us to the main character, who's an anxious teenage dude who's going on a field trip with his classmates to France. They go to the airport, they get on the plane. He falls asleep before the plane takes off and has a premonition of the entire plane blowing up, killing himself and his entire class. So he ends up getting off the plane, and a few other classmates get off with him as they watch the plane, in fact, explode and burst into smithereens in the sky. So his premonition was right, and now these characters lived while everyone else died, so they feel a little offbeat. But then we find out that death is actually coming after them in the order that they were supposed to die in the plane crash. Talk about taking like a slasher premise and making it very fresh. Usually it's just some random killer slashing different people till the end of the movie and we find out who they are. This is not the case here, as you can't cheat death. There are some extravagant kills here that are really mind-bending and messed with me, because I feel like everyone has a fear of death, and that's what Final Destination plays into, especially this first movie. Scenarios that are just everyday life and characters starting to lose their mind thinking, oh, death's not gonna get me now. They might be wrong. I will never be able to fly on a plane the same again. Also, this movie just keeps the tension building and building and building as you really see these long sequences leading up to a kill, where we see a character turn on a microwave or an oven or leave a pot of water boiling, and then we see them fiddle around with a bunch of other different household appliances. So the audience is just wondering, how is this character gonna die as water runs down the bathroom floor and you're waiting for something to happen? Is that how they're gonna die? Or are they gonna make it out of the situation? This movie excels at creating those tensions leading up to the kills, while the other sequels somewhat just are straight up the kill. There's no tension leading up to it. I think the fifth movie does a good job of kind of returning to the roots of this movie, but this one does it the best. It's a thriller, definitely builds the tension, but it's also horrific, as it can really freak you out when you really think about, like, what if this happened to me? Like, what if I had a premonition and then I realized that, oh my gosh, death is coming after me? I would just want to lock myself in a room with cushions. But this is the clear best in the franchise, in my opinion, a movie that I've actually seen 1.5 times now, and I will plan to actually watch this one again. But I think it's pretty impressive that we got 5 Final Destination movies. I don't really hear a lot of people talk about this franchise, though, so if you're a fan, comment down below your favorite movie and your ranking. I would love to talk Final Destination in the comment section. That is going to do it for my ranking of all 5 movies. Hit that like button again. Comment section. Let's light it up with your rankings and your thoughts on these movies, because I never get to talk about them with anyone. Subscribe if you haven't already, so you don't miss out on any more horror videos, first-time watches, trailer reactions, Blu-rays, all this different video content. But thank you all for watching, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.